Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with Inspired Living Life Coaching once again with our friend here, again, Maureen Caley Verdonk. She's based out of Dawson City, Yukon in Canada. And we're going to talk today more about her coaching skills and styles and all the things she could do to help you in so many different ways. First and foremost, I got to start off by saying I hope you had a good holiday. How was it?
Thank you. I had a really nice, peaceful, and joyful holiday. It was pretty quiet.
Good.
Yeah. And at this stage of my life, I realize I actually enjoy that.
Good for you. Well, congrats. And almost with the new year upon us, happy almost new year. And I bet you it's super cold where you are, right?
Well, it's warmed up.
Oh, but same here. I'm in a tank top because I'm sweaty. I had to take off my jacket because it feels like it's like 70 degrees out, which it was ice cold for Christmas and all. But now, yeah, it warmed up too. That's why I was like, got to take off the jacket today.
I'm still in a sweater, but that's, 20 degrees makes a huge difference.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, new listeners each and every week, please tell us a little bit about what you do, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Sure. So I offer private coaching and group coaching and workshops to, I'm just thinking of the words here, that support conscious leaders and women and advocates and entrepreneurs as they journey to find the courage to speak their truth with integrity, with intention, and with influence. And it just seems like my work over the years has really led me to this focus, this clarity on who I'm working with and who I love to work with.
Got it. And by the way, tell us a little bit more about you and some of the things that you do. And then I don't know if you had an area of focus for us today in particular.
Well, I did think about it. And so one of the things so what do I do? Oh my gosh, a couple of areas right now that are really powerfully influencing me is the practice of mindfulness and compassion. And that feels like it's a fire in me that is so important for living my life consciously and compassionately. And mindfulness practice, paying attention on purpose without judgment, is so supportive. I grew up with the punishment model, get things done through finding your faults and doing better. And I've come to realize and recognize how the compassion practice really helps people to flourish. And it's made such a difference in my life and in my relationships. So I am going to be offering mindfulness classes in the new year. I'm also practicing I don't have to have everything ready right now while I've got things on the go. So another area that has really been powerful for me is working on and with public speaking and speaking our truth. And here I am talking with you in a public arena. And what I'm really passionate about in this work is helping women and the men that come to me as well. That I work mainly with women, helping women to connect with their bodies and allow the information, the fear, the shaking, the whatever is presenting itself to actually become a tool that is supportive for them, that they can connect with. So those are a couple of things that I'm doing. And I work privately with people, and I love the one-to-one. I also love group work because there's such wisdom in groups. And And I continue to learn from the people that I'm working with. And they inspire me to grow and continue my own learning. I believe I'm a lifelong learner, and I like to think of myself as being open. And I had an experience this week that told me, ooh, I've got some work to do here, that I really reacted to a situation that I was reminded, well, my sister was sharing something with me, and it wasn't about her, but it was about somebody else, and that I was involved with and preparing for something. And my sister remained calm. And I was reminded of something that Thich Nhat Hanh I think he was fairly famous for it, really. And it's about having one calm person in a boat of refugees, and that will make the trip so much smoother. And I thought of my sister, and I actually shared that with her. So it helped me to come back to presence and center more quickly.
I love it. I love it. Well, you seem like you got this calm about you today, and you always do. And let me just ask you the importance of having positive mindset, right? And going forward in the new year with a positive mindset, and how that could affect and benefit us.
Yeah, thank you. I was thinking about that. How would I like to offer some supportive ideas for people for the new year? So when I think of the positive mindset, and that's to also recognize when things are not feeling so supportive or positive, and to not try to suppress them. I believe that many of us have been taught to actually, if I'm not being positive, then that's not okay. And so what I've been learning, and this is a practice for, I think for many of us, that yes, I want to be positive, I want to be supportive. I actually mostly shift the word positive to supportive, and that works well for me. So not to suppress, and it's a yes and. So yes, I'm feeling this angst or anger, and I choose to express myself or show up in a way that is supportive and is considerate of another person. And in that kind of a mindset for myself, it helps me to show up more fully for myself.
Got it. Go ahead.
This is, I wanted to share something that I found fascinating. And there's a study, and I'd have to look up the woman who wrote the book, but one of the top regrets of people who are dying is that they haven't been true to themselves. And it got me thinking. So I heard that a few years ago, and I was like, what does that even mean? So that would be a real opportunity for the listeners to think, what does being true to myself really mean? And how do I bring out the best in me? And imagine living in gratitude and awe of your own self. What might that do for how you're showing up?
Yeah. Well, you got me thinking, but go ahead. I'll let you. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow.
It's a fascinating area, because also we are taught, I don't know about you, Jill, that I grew up thinking if I was thinking highly of myself or too highly, that I was being a braggart, or I was being selfish, or who do you think you are to be that good? And it's an area that I work with people on that, and how to bring out the best in themselves. And that takes a great amount of courage and trust.
Mm-hmm.
How do you live a life that is fulfilling to yourself while also being in relationship with other people? Fairly recently, I was doing a workshop on being kinder to ourselves. And one of the things that I hadn't thought about, but one of the participants said was, if I'm being kinder to myself, and that means I'm being kinder to others as well, sometimes that's met with real resistance, because the other person is thinking, what are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, is it a manipulative tactic? You're being kind, or you're
Yeah.
telling me about these things about me. And that was, oh, I haven't thought of that, because I believe I've actually moved forward from that place. And when she said that, I was like, oh yeah. So I started backtracking and going, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that is one of the things to be aware of.
Interesting.
It can also be a place of discomfort for people to really look at themselves in a way that is nourishing their goodness. And what does that even really mean?
Mm-hmm.
When I think of goodness, I think of the qualities that are the kindness, the being aware and being able to stay present in the moment. And it's about remembering that I'm a factor in the situation, and that I'm not alone there. And it takes a lot of awareness of ourselves. And all of a sudden, I'm reminded of emotional intelligence and our capacity. So before I continue, I'm wondering if you have any questions about anything I've said that might need a little bit more elaboration.
No, you speaking very clearly, and I'm just thinking in my own head about mindset and about the way that I want to be, which I hope our listeners want to be, and believe that we can really accomplish and achieve everything. And I just feel like this is a new, fresh start for us. Not everybody believes in New Year's resolutions, or, because chances are they're not going to work out, right? Studies show after 3 weeks, but I'm so for positive affirmations and mindset. And I even teach my children, look in the mirror, tell yourself you're beautiful, you're amazing every day. My 5-year-old does it. My 7-year-old's like, what? I'm like, no, do it. But I just feel like to inspire him, to inspire them, to inspire our youth, our children, it's so important to keep this positivity and mindset going. And it just reminds me, because even though I'm not big into New Year's resolutions, it's here. It is a new start. I really feel like the time is now that we could start bettering ourselves, and all of us, our children, our parents, us in general. And you have is it an ebook or something about the steps to change life? What is it that you have? It's a
Well, oh my gosh, it's been a while.
right. No, yeah, I remember something.
Steps to make changes in your life. And helping you to reflect on things that are important to you, and then how to take some small steps in
Could you
moving.
share? Give me a step.
Okay. So giving you a step, and it might not be in the ebook, and that's okay because I change over time. So imagine that one of your children is carrying a fancy glass at New Year's. It's coming, and you're celebrating, and your child accidentally drops this glass that is really special, and you react, and you are like, what did you do that for? And
Yeah,
you're,
you're upset and you're pissed off.
yeah, absolutely. And so what happens is your child takes that in, that it's not okay to actually make a
Of an
mistake.
accident. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that can actually halt their growth.
Yeah.
And it's okay. So that's one way. So another way, that's a reactive mode. And for many of us, it just happens and we don't even realize it. And so a step would be to be paying attention. How do I react or respond to situations? And so if you approach it, your child, the same situation, same event, and you are able to show up with, oh dear, let me help you, in that more calm, responsive way. And your child then may just be scrambling to get something to help clean it up. Then what they learn from that is it's okay. And their nervous system actually is responsive to that. And it's a big deal. And I didn't realize how big of a deal it is. So event plus response equals the outcome. And that was a Jack Canfield acronym or formula that I came across. I don't know, it was about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer. And I went, oh, yeah.
Wow. You're like, ow.
Yeah. And I think of a time when my son was young and we were out to catch this, he was to catch the school bus, and we had our dog would come out in the morning, and she was jumping around, and she jumped and she hit my chin, and
Ah.
it really hurt. And I was like in that moment of ouch. And my
Mm-hmm.
son laughed. And well, I reacted, I was the first illustration, and it wasn't okay for him to actually respond because it was quite comical looking, but I was in pain, and I was able to, not as graciously as I would have liked, but I was able to then explain to him, ouch, that hurt. And what would have been helpful for me, and or was a little oh, are you okay, mom? And
Yeah.
it also was able to acknowledge that it must have looked pretty funny, because he wasn't very old at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
my expectation was something quite different. And it was situations like that that really helped me to go along my
Got it. And
journey.
by the way, we need to remind everyone the best form and all forms of contact. Go ahead.
Okay, so Maureen at Verdonk.com is my email. That's probably the best way to get in touch with me. My telephone and cell, so phone or text, is 867-993-3451. And my website is mocaleyverdonk.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We still have time in the show, 7 minutes to be exact. What else do we want to share with everyone?
What?
Wow.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I just sent out my Friday inspiration and I put out a Happy New Year.
Mm-hmm.
And what I offered my subscribers was a New Year's message. Forgive your past, live your present, and be ready to start the best new year, full of things that have never been.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the idea of that, Jill, because it's about a fresh new start. And how
Yep.
do you, like, that forgive your past is letting go of old grudges and old situations that may not have been resolved, so that we're not feeling that chained in or caged in by our own wishes that things would have been different. If there's something about setting ourselves free that forgiveness actually opens.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's nice to start that in the new year and to let things go. And we all have regrets, right? We have
Yes.
fear, we have traumas that can kind of block us. But also at this point, it's you got to start accepting, responsibility and take accountability for
Mhm.
ourselves and our actions. And unfortunately, we don't all have great, rosy, happy stories. Some bad things have happened, but we got to make the best out of it, you know? Yeah.
Yes. And you said something important just now around the accountability and responsibility. And when we can learn how to take 100% responsibility for our own experience, it's almost like magic happens. We stop blaming other people or having those regrets and resentments and wishing that somebody else would behave differently and trying to change them, when in fact we can pay attention to our own experience of situations, and then with compassion and
Yeah.
kindness towards ourselves, we can begin to show up differently, to make the changes that are supportive to ourselves.
Very true. Absolutely. Wow. Could you share? I mean, we have a few minutes. Could you share a story about someone that you've worked with and maybe how you've helped to kind of change their thinking, their lives, and,
Yeah, uh, sure. And I'm thinking of a fairly recent experience with a client who was really, really stressed, really uh, overwhelmed, and so we just did a practice, like a meditation type. I say type meditation, come back to the body, and I offered some guidance based on what the client was telling me about, and I pulled in the 100% responsibility piece, and that for my own experience, and just acknowledge there's all this overwhelm, all this tension in the body, and breathing into it. And I'm not sure how it's really going to land for the client, but it just felt in that moment like the most supportive thing that I could offer was to help the client come home to their own body, to their own experience, and be aware of it. And what the client said after, and I said, did you notice anything? And it was I don't have to change how my body's feeling. I can just allow myself to be present with this in this moment right now. And I can be responsible for my own experience. Yes, I don't have to like what other people are saying or doing. I can tune in and be responsible for me, and continue the growth and the work that I'm doing for myself.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome for me letting go of outcomes.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's amazing. Well, you know what? We have two minutes left in the show. And in closing today, I just would like to advise everyone, the new year is here. Time to take advantage of it and work with someone that you can feel you trust, that you're confident with, and could really move you and feel unstuck. And again, greater paths ahead, better paths ahead, and time to reflect on that. And if someone wants to reach out to you, do you offer a free initial consultation?
Absolutely. It's about are we a good fit?
Mhm.
Like, how do we connect? And do we feel like we'll make a good working pair? So yes, you can contact me at Maureen at Verdonk.com, or phone or text me 867-993-3451. And I want to say there's absolutely no pressure. Like, if you connect, it's not a have to. And I'm a firm believer in, if it's right, it'll work, and we're meant to be. And if it's not, that's so important to know.
Great.
Trust.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here, for joining us. Would you mind sharing the best form and all forms of contact?
The best is Maureen at Verdonk.com, and phone or text 867-993-3451.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Looking forward to the next time we connect. And I have to say the cheesy line, Happy New Year. I'll see you next year, right?
Yes, absolutely. And a Happy New Year to you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Absolutely. Have a fantastic day. To all of our listeners, stay tuned. More of the show is on the way. See you next year. Bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.